As the music plays, we invite you to simply close your eyes, relax, rest in the presence, and hold space.
Ganapataye namo namaha. Ganapataye namo namaha. Ganapataye namo namaha. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamare. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamare. Ganapataye namo namaha. 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 Omega Dantaya Vidmahi Vakrajundaya Dhimahi Tanno Danti Prachodayat. Ganapataye namo namaha. 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 Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamare. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamare. Ganapataye namo namaha. 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 Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananatha Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari.
Namaste.
Welcome.
Welcome to our weekly online Satsang. Satsang meaning community of truth, which sounds pretentious almost, but it really refers to any gathering of two or more people that are on the path of awakening and transformation. So welcome. The Flowering Heart community is informal. There's no formal membership. In fact, we have people join with us that have different teachers, teachings, belief systems, spiritual backgrounds. What we have in common and share together is the journey of spiritual awakening and the flowering of the heart. And that's why you're here. You wouldn't be here if you weren't on that path, even if you didn't know it. So, we share throughout the webcast what we call the Flowering Heart Blessing, which is a direct transmission of awakened divine consciousness, grace, presence. It's a gift directly from the divine source that catalyzes the process of awakening in the receiver. And if you're already awakened, it'll take you deeper. So, when we were given the Flowering Heart Blessing and the Divine was explaining to us the guidelines, we were told, this isn't yours, this is mine, and I give it to whomever I please. It's a gift of grace. So don't charge people for it. Let them know it comes directly from the Divine. It's not filtered through any avatar or master or saint or spiritual hierarchy or organization. It comes as a gift directly from the Divine to whoever wishes to receive it, to receive grace and help in the process of awakening and transformation. And the Divine said that when someone receives the Flowering Heart Blessing, they are immediately activated, initiated to pass it on and share it with others. So you're already soaking in it right now. Join us, please, throughout the webcast. Just invite the Divine to pour through you the Flowering Heart Blessing. You don't need to know how to do it or understand it. Just be willing to serve as an instrument of divine grace on the behalf of all those who are watching this webcast, whether it's with us tonight live or in the days ahead watching the video recording, because many, many people watch these recordings in the days after they're made. And we hold an intention that they're receiving the Flowering Heart Blessing, that they're being immersed in and blessed by the presence the same as we are tonight. So thank you for being here and helping us share the Flowering Heart Blessing with everyone. We just had quite an intense week. It all began with the air conditioning going out last week, and we had to put in a brand new air conditioning system, a big one, and that was a miracle that it happened in 24 hours, because down here in Florida, when your air goes out and it's summer, well, they try to get you to you as quickly as they can, but it's usually
a couple weeks.
Couple weeks. So we knew that grace was afoot, because we had a 2-day retreat, our Diamond Heart Quantum Transformation Retreat, the first in-house Diamond Heart retreat we've done in over 3 years. We did several before the COVID lockdown. They're very popular, very powerful, wonderful stuff. And we got the nudge finally from the Divine. It was time to do another. And it was a great group of people. We even had a dear one fly in from Mexico to attend, and it was great to be with you. You're probably watching. But it's hard to say anything about it. I'm still kind of without words. And we basically, Suzanne and myself and 2 of the retreatants ended up staying up virtually all night long because my sister had to go in for open heart surgery and be at the hospital at 5 in the morning. That was so early, there was like no point in going to bed. Although I did fall asleep myself finally. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning for me, and Suzanne, it was 7 this morning. So it's been a long day. It was open heart surgery to correct a thoracic aortic aneurysm. Very dangerous stuff. And she came through in flying colors.
If we could all hold her in prayer, her name is Kathy, if we could hold her in prayer for a really good and speedy recovery. Send her lots of healing prayers. That would be appreciated.
Indeed. And thank you for all of those who have been holding her in prayer. All the retreat together held her in prayer, but we have other dear friends who had their prayer groups actually and joining with us to hold her up in prayer. Very intense surgery, that one. And appreciate the surgeon and appreciate God, who basically was pouring out grace on the surgeon, the attending physicians, and the nurses, and everyone, and we're very grateful. And more than a wee bit tired. So, if we yawn or something, it's not because we're bored or we don't love you. It's been a real long few days. Anyway, we like to open it to, please, if you're on Facebook Live, give us a heart or a thumbs up so we know you are on tonight, or even if you're watching this video in the days after it was made, or a year after it was made, just give us a like or a love, and I come back and I look at those, and especially after the webcast is done tonight, and we send you special hugs and blessings, and love to see that you've been with us. If you're on Vimeo watching, you need to enter, put your name in the chat, make a comment, and say, hi, I'm here. And it'll make us really happy. Oh, there's Ekaterina. And yes, you just heard, my sister's fine. Thank you. Thank you for your prayers and for your presence over the weekend. It was just great to see you in person and to realize that we first crossed paths at the Oneness Meditation in Monterey all those years ago. And that was a very beautiful time. So, okay, and Danny Bell, such wonderful news indeed. Thank you for your prayers as well, and for joining us over the weekend. Wow, so I guess the retreat is
still going.
It's now advancing. We're done retreating. We're carrying the light forward now. Michael Christopher, also with us over the weekend. Good to see you, Michael. He says, thank you so much for a transformational weekend, Michael and Suzanne. I'm grateful to you, the community, the lineage, and the divine. Indeed. What lineage? I thought you just said we're like unaligned. Well, among some of the hats I wear, I'm a Taoist abbot, and I'm 26th generation in a Taoist lineage. And I teach Qigong and Taoist meditation, eternal alchemy. I've been doing that for over 50 years, in addition to the other stuff we do. So that's the lineage he was talking about. And we brought out a few jewels from that tradition over the weekend. Also focused on the Tibetan tradition, the Tibetan devotion to Chenrei Zi, which is their name for Kuan Yin. And the mantra some of you know, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om, the jewel in the lotus, and Om to the jewel in the lotus. And it's a very powerful mantra, and we chanted it a lot. And we did the 108-minute blessing circle. You've never experienced such a thing. I'm not going to talk about it. But we're still feeling it. We're cruising with it. And, and Jennifer says, states have just in the past couple weeks been given federal funds to assist with critical home repairs, including HVAC replacement. Worth looking into. I'm from a poor state, West Virginia, that is reimbursing homeowners up to $10,000 for their HVAC replacement. Oh my God.
Thank you for that. We'll look into that because we had to take out financing, and so it would be...
Yeah, we could really use what they're giving you in West Virginia.
Exactly.
But if you can send us any kind of a link or a name or anything that would help us search for that federal endowment, that would be great. Yekaterina writes, in Monterey, I saw you on live, but your presence was so powerful and I decided to follow you. Well, we're following you now. So. Yeah. Beautiful soul. So we open it at this point to anything blah, blah, blah. See, I still can't talk from over the weekend. Questions and answers on the spiritual journey, concerning your spiritual practice, meditation, awakening, divine union, reincarnation, the afterlife, the eternal life, anything related to the spiritual journey, but best things that maybe you'll encounter, obstacles or struggles or just areas where you'd like more clarity and insight. And when you ask a question like that in the satsang, the divine presence itself inspires us with things to share with you, and it helps us and everybody who gathers. So that's your role. And Jennifer says, I'll research what Florida has and email you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Much appreciation. So, and Margie on Vimeo writes, blessings to Kathy. Yeah, it's Kathy with a K. When my father had open heart surgery years ago, he, an atheist, avowed that our constant presence was pivotal to his healing. Mm. Yeah. Thanks for for sharing that. My sister is a believer, but not with incredibly huge faith, I think. Some of us have been in healing circles and prayer healing for years, and it makes a huge difference. Even if the person we're praying for has no faith at the moment that we're praying for them, we have faith for them. There's a story that this reminds me of. It's one of the miracles that Jesus performed. And he was in someone's house and he was teaching. And their houses were little in the Middle East then in Israel. And it was packed with people and no one could get close to the door. But these 4 people had brought this crippled man. He'd been, I think, crippled all of his life. And they carried him in a stretcher. And when they couldn't get through the door, they went up on the roof and they broke up the thatched roof of the house and they lowered him down through the roof into the middle of the room where Jesus was. And it says, Jesus, seeing their faith, it wasn't the man they brought. I mean, that's the guy that got healed. But when he saw the faith of those people that had the audacity and the perseverance to climb up on a stranger's house and break a hole in their roof and lower him down, Jesus said, rise up. And the man was instantly healed. It was one of the notable miracles. But it's what you were sharing about your prayers for your father during that heart surgery when he wasn't a believer at that time. Seeing your faith, the divine presence brought him through and healed him. So I love it. I see the questions are just pouring in. I'm kidding, I'm being facetious. But I have quotes. That's what I've been doing lately while I wait. If anybody's got anything to say, ask inside. But I have some lovely quotes tonight. 10 gentle reminders to give yourself grace. Which is right up our alley, right? But I get these quotes during the week from a website. I'm on their email list and I get them every morning and they're usually really inspiring. Some are actually funny, but there's a lot of wisdom, a lot of spiritual wisdom. And the website is inspiringquotes.com. And there are various authors that put these quotes in little brief articles together. This tonight we've had others from her. The author is Joyce Chen. And Joyce Chen is a writer, editor, and community builder based in Seattle, Washington. And here's what she has to say. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. But even the toughest among us need to show ourselves a little grace, patience, and understanding amid trying times. Grace can best be described as extending an act of kindness or generosity to someone else or to ourselves as a way to invite ease into difficult situations. It's an ineffable concept in some ways, but examples can be seen everywhere in an offer to help pick up groceries for an overworked neighbor, in a parent's choice to laugh with a child over their blunder instead of reprimanding them, or in the act of forgiving yourself for doing poorly in a job interview. Showing others grace helps establish deeper, more understanding relationships and softens the oft transactional nature of our world. Kindness doesn't cost us a thing, and yet it's often rarer to come by than it should be. Showing ourselves grace, too, helps us remember we're only human. Below, we've rounded up 10 quotes that can serve as reminders to show and have more grace for one another. We're all just trying our best, after all. The first quote, I feel that the essence of spiritual practice is your attitude toward others. Tenzin Gyatso, the 14th Dalai Lama, the current Dalai Lama. Tenzin Gyatso. Having a gentle spirit, a kind spirit, a compassionate spirit toward oneself and others really does make space for the growth and the teachability that keeps us moving into the direction that we want to go. It's not always easy to hold that kind of compassion and kindness for oneself, but to me, that's often where the work is. Tracy Ellis Ross. When we're looking for compassion, we need someone who is deeply rooted, able to bend, and most of all, embraces us for our strengths and struggles. Brené Brown. The nature of humanity, its essence, is to feel another's pain as one's own, and to act to take that pain away. There's no nobility in compassion. Back up. Yeah. There is nobility. There is nobility in compassion, a beauty in empathy, a grace in forgiveness. John Connolly. Grace, like water, flows to the lowest part. Philip Yancey. Love is holy because it is like grace. The worthiness of its object is never really what matters. Marilyn Robinson. Life is grace. Sleep is forgiveness. The night absolves. Darkness wipes the slate clean. Not spotless, to be sure, but clean enough for another day's chalking. Grace is beauty in motion, or rather, grace regulates the air, the attitudes, and movements of beauty. Henry Fuseli. Grace has been defined the outward expression of the inward harmony of the soul. William Hazlitt. I like that a lot. Beauty without grace is the hook without the bait. Ralph Waldo Emerson. I had to think about that one for a while. Beauty without grace. So, grace here is largely resonating with compassion and acceptance, gentleness, empathy with the feelings of others and even with ourselves, and giving each other some slack, and giving ourselves a little. It also relates directly in spiritual teaching to the gifts that flow to us from the divine presence itself. And that's where I've most often encountered that word over the years. Grace is a gift that is unmerited, that's given freely, unconditionally, without anyone paying for it or working for it or deserving it. And so clearly, the gifts we receive from the divine presence are just that. There's no way we can pay for them or deserve them or earn them. Though we often try, it's not even necessary, because divine grace is being constantly poured out without reservation. The divine is pouring out freedom and healing and illumination and compassion and all the other great things without holding back anything. Our whole idea that we ask for something from the divine and the divine says, "Not yet, you're not ready," is a construct of the mind that gets in the way, because divine grace is always flowing fully, wholly, and infinitely. So the whole path here is for us to remove the obstacles in us to opening up and just receiving what the divine is seeking to give us. I love that concept of grace. It was something that I really can understand as a student of spiritual, religious history, that the Christ avatar, if you will, the divine embodiment in the life of Jesus, gifted the world 2,000 years ago. At the time he came to the Jewish culture and tradition, which envisioned, unfortunately, at that time, they saw God as some kind of a warlord that with all kinds of laws, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rules and regulations, that if you broke them, you would be destroyed. But if you kept the laws of God, then God would give you the power to destroy your enemies and take their women and their children, which is horrible. So Jesus came along and said, "You got it all wrong. No. There's only one law that matters, and it encompasses all the rest, and it's love the divine with your whole heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love each other as yourself." And he said, that's it. That's the whole thing. And so he put it into demonstration with his gifts of healing and his mercy and multiplying loaves and fishes and food to feed the hungry and forgiving the marginal people like prostitutes and drunks and criminals and transforming their lives. And then he said to the people, if you've seen me, this is what God is like, not the way you've been thinking. And so that concept of grace, that word translated grace from the Greek, doesn't matter what the Greek is, has over 2,000 years gradually penetrated all the spiritual traditions. When Suzanne and I were going to India, and I was spending so much time there, I saw that the yoga tradition in India was shot through with the concept of grace, which I thought was so wonderful, because when I first became introduced with yoga many years ago, it was mostly a scientific discipline, that if you did it just right and you observed the rules, it was like a mathematical certainty that it led to divine union. And now there's much more talk about, well, yes, yoga helps and meditation helps, but it's all about grace, the gift of grace. You want to add to that anything? Okay. So it's almost without people realizing it that whether you're a Christian or however you feel about the Christian religion, I can understand why a lot of people have had trouble with what that's done over the last 2,000 years at times. But the teachings that came through the Master himself, especially about love and about grace, the concept that God is love, not that God's detached and impersonal, not that God is a judge sitting on a throne with a big club. Sadly, a lot of Christian communities still teach that kind of vision of God. But that's not what the Master Jesus presented. And those two, God being unconditional love and all the relationship with that source being rooted in grace, not good works or good karma, is absolutely transforming. So give yourself some of that grace too. Tristan writes, why do people get liberated after Kundalini awakening and some go through hardship, karmic debt? Well, it's pretty simple. And Kundalini is it is a divine transformational energy that dwells within all human beings. It contains the seed of the divine feminine potential of transformation of the human being through and through on every level. And a lot of the yogic traditions focus on awakening Kundalini, which is said to slumber at the base of the spine in the root chakra, Muladhara chakra, through various means. It can be awakened through Kundalini yoga, it can be awakened through various Kriya yogas, through various pranayama methods. It can be, oh, here I go again, awakened by grace. Grace, it just can happen. And this amazing energy that until recent times, people only rarely experienced it. Even people that were seeking that awakening of Kundalini energy, it wasn't that common. Now it's very common. Most people I encounter that are on the spiritual path of awakening have their Kundalinis awakened. And this energy, which in ordinary people in the past was only expressed marginally through sexuality and through fighting for your life, the power of the loins. But when the Kundalinis awaken, that very base primal energy normally expressed in sexuality or in warfare is transformed, and it begins to flow up the spine, really up the Shushumna, the central energy channel that runs up the center of the human being. And it runs through all 7 chakras on its way to the top. And the classical teaching is that when it reaches the crown chakra and the crown chakra opens, the human being expands beyond the little self into cosmic consciousness, into oneness with the universal grid, with all sentient beings. So if that's the paradigm that you've been exposed to or taught as sort of at the heart of your spiritual journey, then you may have focused a lot on chakra meditation and pranayama and Kundalini yoga and all of that stuff. So, some people, Tristan says, get liberated after Kundalini awakening. It seems to just like go right up there and they blossom into higher states of consciousness, mostly above the first 3 chakras. The first chakra, Muladhara, is about security and groundedness, but it's also issues of self-protection and money and materialism in all its forms. The second chakra, Swadhisthana chakra, is about connection, felt connection, and it's got all the sexuality stuff is there, but so's a lot of healing energy and a lot of sensory connection with the outer world and with others. So it's really very beautiful when it's pure. The root chakra is very beautiful when it's pure too. The third chakra is Manipura chakra, the city of jewels. It's all about power. When that's purified, great. But all the issues of power and control, the ego issues around power and control, sexuality and money are in the first 3 chakras. The fourth chakra, Anahata, is the heart chakra, and of course, that's about love. Love and real, empathy that's beyond the just feeling level. It's pure connection and compassion from the heart. The throat chakra, Vishuddhi, and the 6th chakra, Agnya, the third eye chakra, and Sahasrara, the crown chakra. These top three are where a lot of the high spiritual energies express themselves and reside in the human plan. So anyway, I didn't want to answer this question without giving people that aren't familiar with Kundalini just a little insight. The reason some people get liberated right away and others go through hardship and karmic debt is because of karmic debt. Everything I just mentioned. Kundalini gets awakened, but they've got a lot of unresolved issues surrounding money, surrounding sexuality and relationship connection, and surrounding power and control in their lives. We all have cleansing to do, but some of us have done a lot of that work in previous lives, and in this life, we've worked on ourselves before that Kundalini upsurge began. And because that work was done and there was enough clearing, some people are able to go right away into very high states. Still, most of the people I know where that happens are not fully liberated, but they get a huge taste. And then the Kundalini energy doesn't just go up, it fountains out the top of the head and flows down, the golden elixir, the Amrit, through the whole being. But a lot of people experience at some point being brought down into those lower chakras to do inner work, karmic resolution and clearing that wasn't done before the Kundalini awakening. And I'm not saying it should be. It's kind of easier if you've got the tools and the right teachings. It might be easier to clear those chakras and face those issues with your Kundalini awakened than asleep. So
I'd be curious to know if the people that are having an easier time of it, if that came upon them more naturally and organically, and the ones that are having a harder time with it are ones that were really pushing to raise their Kundalini, doing a lot of exercises and practices. And I've gotten more of the opinion that should be done with as much grace as possible without us pushing to have that happen, that we, surrender to the divine will and divine timing of things. And that's usually when things go a lot smoother.
yeah. I had my Kundalini raised very early on when I was very young by a master and a method, and that's not so important. Where was I going with that?
Kundalini raised?
What did you just say?
I said that it makes a difference, in our lives if we're pushing for something out of our own will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I used a method that very powerfully makes that happen. But I learned as a result of that, and my teacher said, Taoist way, not forced. Don't force it. Don't force anything. Just be in harmony with the universe. And as your harmony with the universe, with the Tao deepens, these energies are spontaneously and effortlessly released. He used to say, don't try to force things. When you're ready, it'll naturally flower from within. Which is like the one of the Zen traditions that says that the Buddha nature is in everyone, and it just needs the space, and time and patience and grace for that flower of the enlightened nature to open of its own accord. But that's one tradition. They've got another tradition where they really push, and the master walks around the meditation circle, and if you begin to wander, we'll whack you to bring you back on center, And that's a very powerful tradition too. So there's nothing wrong with hard work, but sometimes we can be so passionate about personal transformation that we're doing violence to ourselves instead of just like those quotes I was reading, give yourself some grace and have patience. Yeah. John, hi John, said, or a complete emotional emptying of oneself. Some people go through hardship and karmic debt, or some people a complete emotional emptying of oneself. Well, an emotional purge over time, because the Kundalini will greatly, in its awakening, hasten the unloading of the unconscious. We're filled most of us with unprocessed emotional material, as well as all the conscious emotional charges that we deal with. There's a great amount of stuff in the unconscious. And in meditation, if you just relax and just rest in the presence, then quite spontaneously over time, the divine presence itself brings up and clears that emotional material. But wakening the Kundalini under all that is like lighting a fuse under a rocket ship. And it can cause the emotional emptying to be quite intense. And yeah, so true. Any other comments or questions? Oh wow, look, we've talked ourselves into the night. Oh yeah, Margie writes, also had a similar minor miracle to your HVAC. My water heater started leaking into the ceiling the night before July 4th. Oh, we've had that happen. Oh, it was Christmas Eve.
Christmas morning.
Christmas morning. Yeah.
You were in India.
Yeah, and I was in India. My wonderful plumber not only came on the 4th of July and fixed it without having to replace, but refused to charge me holiday pay.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And Margie also writes, divine order. I've been binge watching Girlfriends by Tracy Ellis Ross, whom you just quoted. I love those quotes. Serendipity. Everything is connected. Yep. It's all connected. So let's close our eyes and open our hearts and invoke the divine presence. This divine presence within you is pure, unconditional love. And it dwells within you at the center of your being in all of its fullness. It does not judge you. It accepts you and understands you more than you understand or accept yourself. It knows everything about you and loves you unconditionally and yearns deeply to draw you into full union with itself, to awaken you beyond the veil of separation, which is a construct of the mind, to experience reality as it is, which is oneness with the divine, with the light, oneness with all that is. It yearns to free you from suffering. It yearns to heal you through and through. So, tonight, whenever you're watching this, receive the grace, the omnipotence, the unlimited power and love and grace of this all-wise, all-knowing being that is the source of all that exists. Receive this grace. Drink it in. The presence knows what you need before you ever ask, before you even know you need it. Just relax and drink in the grace of the presence. eyes closed, visualize us sitting in a circle together. And lift up your hands with your palms open, facing forward. And let us invite the presence to pour the blessing through us to everyone in the circle, as it's coming back to us through all the others in the circle. As it flows through you, you are transformed. It was said, it's more blessed to give than to receive, and both are great. Let us picture the earth in the center of our circle, the blue, translucent, living planet Gaia. And let us invite the divine to pour through us the flowering heart blessing to the planet and to all of humanity, to awaken the hearts and the consciousness of the entire human race. Now you can just rest your hands somewhere in your lap or on your thighs. And whenever you're ready, you could open your eyes and begin to make direct eye contact with Suzanne and or me. Just keep looking at least one of our eyes. And that's all you need to do. As we dive into the light meditation, Suzanne and I are flooded with oceans of light and love and awakening grace. It pours through our whole being to you, especially through our eyes, the doorways of the soul, into your eyes. Just keep looking, and the light will stream in through your eyes into your heart of hearts and cause the light of awakening, the flames of divine love to burn brighter and brighter and brighter within you. could close your eyes now. Meditate with us for just a few more moments as the grace you've received settles within you. Now keep meditating as long as you like, or you could just find a spot nearby and lie down on your back in Shavasana. That's a yoga pose, actually, where you lie on your back, close your eyes, let your arms be loosely at your sides with your palms open, turned upward, and just dissolve with gratitude in the presence. It's a great thing to do. Try it if you haven't. We love you very much.
Much love, light, and blessings.
Until we meet again, know that the divine in us beholds the divine in you, your true essence, and we bow to you.
Namaste.
Namaste.